king runt adult. And from all the other adults too. Here's Whip. This is where Whip suddenly comes into his own. Oh, here's James and Eddie. This is a wonderful puppy encounter. Every puppy should have this. The puppy says, "Hello, Eddie. I bet you're really pleased to meet me because I'm a young puppy." And Eddie says, "Piss off." Puppies have to learn that. They must learn. You don't just run up to every dog and say hello. And this is one of the things that a badly taught puppy class can teach them. They teach puppies to be social loons. So then they go to the dog park and run up to every adult dog. "Hello, Jack Russell, bitch. Ha, ha, ha. I'm a Labrador. Ha, ha. Zoom." You know? So it's nice to have them around, some crotchety old dogs that just say, "Get away from me, you horrible thing. I hate puppies." Okay? It's very good. The puppy has to have a rounded education growing up. So, in addition to puppy classes, you should tell them, go to the dog park. There is no better exercise than going to the dog park. You know, there simply isn't. It's great socialization. You'll meet lots of people. You'll meet lots of dogs. Now, this is interesting. Guess who's holding court here? Who has the bone? Is that the worthless Whip? Holding the bone away from developing male puppies? He is look, he's trained this puppy to sit over here. I'm being serious. This puppy now, Sirius, is saying, "How close can I get?" Look at Whip's stare. Okay? At any moment, Whip's going to go, "Woo!" and have him back up. Now, Whip has the bone now, and two puppies. Look at this one showing nice respect. "I'm coming close. I'm too close. Oh dear, I hope you don't mind." And there's, "Maybe he won't notice if I come up behind him." What suddenly happened as the male puppies grew up, Whip puffed himself up and said, "I am a male dog, and I dominate you puppies. Grr, grr, grr." And he became this like super macho dog, and spending hours educating these puppies, and the rest of the pack just relaxed. All the other male dogs are over here in the sun. Joe's on his back with his legs in the air. Oh, leave it to Whip. If Whip has any... You see, the lowest ranking male is doing all the education. Well, the others don't care unless he fails. And he worked at it day after day after day. He would find something, a log, a rock, a bone, a leaf, and do puppy training. And he would find a leaf and put it on the ground in front of a puppy. So it's my leaf. Don't look at my leaf. And this education went on and on and on. It's just beautiful, that learning absolute critical distance. Whip here was about 6. For 6 years of his life, he'd been a totally worthless individual, only included in the study because of me. And look what it shows us. It's magnificent. And the neat thing is, he's totally gentle. You know, never hurt a puppy. It was all mental stuff. Like, and the puppies are like, "Ah!" Yeah, this is the biggest beagle we have, Whip. And like, all of a sudden, you have these jaws go, "Oh!" It's like, hum. You know, it's really educational. Now, here's Sirius. So, what you get is adult dogs police puppies. And they will police them in terms of educate them about how you do this stuff. They will absolutely, firmly, psychologically say, "You are bottom dog." Why? We can't have an argument when that puppy reaches adult size. This whole thing is to prevent fights. And if dogs are left to their own devices, they do it very, very well. Also, adult dogs police puppies, as well as educating them. If the puppies get into a fight, the adult dogs will be there. But these puppies are becoming adult dogs, and the growing puppies start policing other animals together. This is what dog hierarchy is all about, the group. Any one dog could maybe take on every other dog individually, but what he can't do is take on all of you together. And we're growing up with Sirius, who is a real potential threat on this social scene. Sirius is big. He grew up to outweigh all of the dogs in the pack. Could you imagine what would happen if he got out of control? You know, the pack would be ruled by this warlord, Sirius, this bully. But it can never happen because Sirius can't beat out, number one, he couldn't take out James, but he couldn't take out the group of the dogs. So here's how it happens. Sirius moves. James and every puppy would go over to him and just go, "Buh." His life became a living nightmare. If we would go in the enclosure and cough, every dog would go over to Sirius and growl at him. If you clap your hands, they would go over to Sirius and growl at him. This is what is normal. And beg your pardon?
I lost that line of reasoning. Why, when a person came in and did anything, did they go with
Any change in the environment. Yeah, if you break wind, all the dogs go over to Sirius and growl at him. If Sirius moves, they go over to Sirius and growl at him. If this puppy, Kitty, gets up to take a drink, all the puppies go over to Sirius and growl at him. And that's what needs to happen. And that's what happens when you take your puppy. So Sirius now here is probably 6 months old. His testosterone level is probably about 5 nanograms a mil, which is 2.5 times adult levels. Testosterone, as we'll go on, is very weird in male dogs. So he has very high testosterone levels. He smells hyper male. That's the dog's way of marking potential jerks. They say, he's a jerk. Watch him. Okay? And so here's the interaction, and now Sirius tries to get away, so James mounts him. Poor Sirius. My heart goes out to him. So now Sirius says, I'm heading to the doghouse. And James isn't going to let him. James is going to corral him and corner him off. It's great. It's like a border collie routine here. And James is, here's the doghouse, and James is not letting him get there. And then James comes in between the doghouse and says, hey, look what Sirius is doing, everybody. It's horrible. James goes, woof, woof, woof. And Sirius is thinking, oh, no. And this is what happens. You know, you've now got Franklin. See Franklin? This is James. There's Franklin. There's McLaren. There's Chevy. There's Chevy coming up to say, yeah, Sirius, which the group can do. This is what it's all about. You can't beat the group. You can't beat the group. And what you'll find is, in some cases, a group will have a bad leader who's ruling by the sword. It does happen that occasionally the top dog is trying to rule by physical dominance. And do you know what happens to them? They die by the sword because they can't beat the group. And a dog like that will just disappear from view one night, and they'll just kill it and eat it. So when you get physical domination, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because you can't physically dominate the entire group. You know, it really is just, it's a wonderful example. Okay, just quickly we go through this, then we'll break. That's the German Shepherd, Schutzen Shepherd, taken at 1/400th of a second. Wow, precisely, it's blurred. Yeah, these jaws can bite you 5 times in 0.2 of a second. Yeah, we've looked at video in slow motion. It is amazing. It's amazing. A dog never tries to bite you and misses. He meant to miss. Let's remember that. This is a pit bull. This is a pit bull party I had at my house. back in the 80s, we got loads of pit bulls all together, and it was on TV, and it was beautiful until the person at the end, the anchor boat, yeah, but don't they bite children? It's like, oh, we just done this beautiful little pit show, with all these lovely pits, and this is Sparky, whose great puppies have all been to Sirius. This is one dog, and she's given rise to something like 450 of her offspring that they are sold on, from mum to Sparky to daughter to granddaughter, and anyone who takes a puppy has to take Sirius class. This is a lesson to learn for tomorrow about marketing, because a lot of dog owners don't understand what a client is. What is a client? Well, 450 times $185. Is it worth walking the extra mile for Sparky's owner? Yeah, because it could bring you another 452 puppies in the next few years. You get the picture? Veterinarians. I was in a restaurant one day and I said to Jamie, I'm just going to buy Tom a bottle of wine. And Jamie said, why? You were just skiing with him last week and he was in France with us. And I said, well, he's our best referral, or the clinic is, and I just want to say thank you. And so I went over, and he didn't want any wine as it is, but we had a little natter. And then I came back, and Jamie says, what do you mean by your best referral? And I said, well, they've sent us more puppies than anyone else ever in the 23 years we've been training. And actually, back then it was the 19 years we've been training. And he said, well, how many is that? So I got the napkin, and I worked it out. $750,000 worth of puppies from one vet clinic in 19 years. Yeah. Now you understand what a client's all about? Yeah. James and Kenneth Publishers, 87% of our sales go to just 3 customers. That's what business is about. You never forget that principle. They generally call it the 80-20 principle. 80% of your work comes from 20% of your customers or referrals. Anyway, that's Sparky. Here's Lulu. You've probably all seen Lulu in the Sirius video. That she grows up to be the adult dog being examined in the vet clinic. But this is Lulu as a puppy. This is Hershey. This is the first obedience trial champion, Pit, who got a ILP number as an Amstaff, but was bought for $5 on the streets of Oakland from a couple of kids. Oh. Now, one of those dogs bit a child. Which one is it? This one. Yeah, you've got it. This is the first Malamute I ever met. Some dogs love cats, if they're socialized to like cats. Dogs eat rabbits. On the other hand, a dog can live with a rabbit if he grew up with a rabbit. We had a wild rabbit called Peter that was plowed up in the field, and my uncle kept him. And Peter lived to be 17 in captivity. And as he got older, his rabbit hutch collapsed and fell down, so he moved him to the dog kennel with the dog. And on the other hand, dogs kill and eat rabbits if they're not socialized to them or if they're allowed to because they're food. Dogs like cows. If they're socialized to them, they will chase cows if they're allowed to. All of this stuff is very flexible. This is my dad. Many people ask me, I found this slide. Whoops, sorry. There we go back to this one. Found this slide when I was preparing a lecture on the history of dog training. And I was intrigued where I got the idea of lure reward training from, because it wasn't new, and was tracking it back through the literature. I've actually tracked it back to 1857. Puppy dog, gun dog. Lure reward puppy gun dog training. A book published in 1857. I knew I didn't come up with it, but where the hell did I get the idea from? Then I found these pictures, and we can actually, and there is the lure, the slipper, and the reward, of course, is in his right hand. And here he is using the treat as a lure and a reward. And I can date this by the car. It's my brother's car, so I'm 11 years old when I took this photograph. So it's a long time ago, folks. I grew up with this stuff, that's all. That there was a thin thread of some trainers that still used lure-reward training that brought us through from the 19th century to the end of the 20th century. And I was just a lucky guy that I grew up with my dad and my grandfather who trained dogs this way. That I'd never seen a dog trained on leash. We did not have leashes. This dog has never been on leash in his entire life. We did not own a leash. So the notion of, and it has a collar just to wear the tag, which actually that tag is made out of a part of a crashed Zeppelin. It's an aluminium tag that crashed in the field nearby. There you go. Right, let's take a quick 15-minute break. We'll be back. Ugly. Then I'll begin. Good. Reminds me, anyone here from England? Yeah, did you used to listen to, oh, it's probably God before your time, you're too young. They used to have Children's Hour. This was when, they had TV. We had one station. And so in 1950s, 1953, a lot of people got their TV for the coronation. One station. And most of the time it was off the air. So anyway, it would come on in the afternoon for weather, gardening, and Children's Hour. And Children's Hour would always begin with, "Hello, children. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin." I love that. They're cute. Anyway, here we go. The question, got it. Somebody asked a question about a jolly routine, and basically the concern is, would we be reinforcing the bad behavior? That's the question, right? Yeah, good.
Well, at what point is it reinforcement? At what point is it?
Yeah. Very, very good question. And this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of learning theory, and certainly one of the scariest aspects that stops a lot of people being nice around dogs and makes them nasty around dogs, especially when dogs are being aggressive. So here's the deal. A dog is growling at me. I'm just going to be nice to him. I may even praise him. May talk him through it. And I may say, "Oh, he's got a big bad growl then. Who's got a big growl? Just not a very big growl." And so the notion is, am I reinforcing that growling? The answer is, yeah, probably a little bit. But it's no big deal, because when he stops growling, I'll reinforce him even more. So it will go, "Buh," and I'm saying, "Oh, he's a good boy. It's not a oh, hi, welcome back. Has Good Dog returned to earth again? Oh, you want some cookies?" Good. And I often say those words, "welcome back." I find that if I consider the dog as schizophrenic, and he has two personalities, bad dog, I don't want to talk to bad dog. And good dog, I love good dog. And whenever good dog appears, I say, "Oh, hello, good dog. How are you? Welcome, I thought we'd lost you. Yeah, bad dog was here. Oh, he nearly took away all your cookies. There we go." So certainly being nice to him when he's growling does have some reinforcing effect on the growling. So to offset that, when he stops growling, whoa, the level of reinforcement goes up in the air, and out comes the freeze-dried liver and the barbecued sheep. So the dog gets the point. So, points to make. One of the most powerful training maneuvers that you have, let me list them. Ignore the bad behavior and reward the good behavior. That is so powerful. Or reward the cessation of bad behavior. Ooh, that's so powerful, it's so wonderful, and it's so good for your affect. Many people, when they train, they get really frustrated. Let's have whining dog, moaning husband. Same thing. You got it? Yeah. Very easy to resolve. What do? You don't talk to bad dog or bad husband. They don't exist. You can't hear them. You can't see them. All of a sudden, good husband comes back. Hi, sweetie, fancy a cup of tea? It's as simple as that. Totally ignore the bad, and you reward the cessation of the bad, or you could say the start of the good. Okay? Very, very powerful training tool which helps with growling. There's many times in the growling when it's not quite working. The dog is growling, we're trying to give him space, but he's following me. And he's growling at me. Keep calm, talk him through it, it will stop eventually. When it does, highlight that moment. Oh, he's a good boy. I like it. Now, if we go back through time and say, what did that reward? Because how long will a reward go back in time? How far does it reach back? 3 seconds maximum. And the decay is exponential. Whoop. So after 1 second has gone by, the reward is half as effective. So if a dog growls and stops growling, and within half a second, I say, he's a good boy. Yep, I'm slightly rewarding him for growling. But I'm really rewarding him for stopping growling, just with the time course. Very good for stopping whining, very good for stopping barking, stopping bouncing, to fall on the floor. Really cool. Right, let me finish the train of thought, please, and we'll have questions. That's point one. However, when we are training, the operant conditioning is only part of it. We always have classical conditioning taking place. Which means if ever you're using reprimands or punishments, in addition to changing the dog's behavior, he does sit stays better now. Yes, but he doesn't like you. He doesn't like training, and he doesn't like the trainer. That is the potential side effect. So that means every time you use a reprimand or a punishment, you must acknowledge it's also caused harm to the relationship. Okay? And you must repair that damage. The beauty, of course, of using food treats, rewards, toys, games, or smiles in training is, as you change the dog's behavior, he loves stopping barking now. Because then you smile at him and give him treats. So now his barking sequences are getting really short. He can barely bark when the mailman comes. Oh, woof, woof. That's it. And it's brilliant, because now you know the mail's there, and he's not doing this, woof, 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 under attack, mailman, woof, 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 which just goes on and on forever. Okay? But the side effect is, not only have you changed his behavior, he sits nicely, does nice stays, he likes you better. He likes training, and he likes the trainer. Now, I care just as much that he likes training as I do that he likes the trainer, which is you. Because I think it's really neat for critters to like education. Because if we can educate them, we can communicate with them. And that's really what training is with the dog. It's teaching the dog our language, teaching the dog ESL, English as a second language, so we can communicate better. Okay? So it's a very complicated thing that's going on. I just like to be nice all the time. I'm not going to respond in a nasty way to growling. I've not found that to be very effective. Having said that, once you have a relationship, I may say to a dog, let's say Ollie, who loves barking. I may say, Ollie, shush. Good boy. And that can be said, by the way, from the basement 3 floors up. I can say in a normal voice without shouting, dogs, shush. Thank you, dogs. Occasionally, though, it goes like this. Ollie, shush. Woo! At which point, I'm going to say, shut up! And swear I'm human. Okay? I do use reprimands, punishments in training. Not because theoretically I think it out and I think it'd be so much nicer to train with just rewards. Yes, it would. But I'm incapable of doing it. And occasionally, and it may be I'm working on something on the computer and that barrage of barks took every thought out of my head and I'm sitting in front of a blank screen again. However, and I've never said that, I'm a totally positive trainer. I mean, I would fall down laughing if I said something like that. What I've said about reprimands and punishments is, and we'll go over it very carefully tomorrow, if you're going to reprimand and punish, these are the rules. And you must stick to them. Because if you don't stick to them, you're not punishing. You are abusing. You're still doing something nasty, whatever it is, stern face, which is, by the way, the worst thing to do to a child. Don't do ugly face with the kid. And what you just said there is, you are insignificant, you child. It's a horrible thing to do. So try and explain it in words. But for a dog, or the look, or the change of name, I always say, Oliver Gorman. Whenever the dogs are bad, I don't own them anymore. And I'll even Claude, who's technically my dog, Claude Gorman. How dare you do... Whoa, I'm a Gorman now. I'm this big. So, all right. Questions on that? Yes.
Going back to the rewarding the growling, in that specific example, you would be maybe slightly rewarding the growling, but you wouldn't necessarily be reinforcing it, right? Because the growling is to make it go away, and it didn't work.
Well, yeah, essentially the difference between the words reward and reinforce, you would reward a dog to reinforce a behavior. You are, to some extent, reinforcing the growling. However, because you're also classically conditioning, you're taking away the why. After a while, the dog says, I just can't growl at this person anymore. They're so smiley. I mean, I love them. They keep giving me treats, damn it. I'm really trying. I just can't do it. And that is all powerful. Classical conditioning is all powerful. And it's like... Again, it's like with kids. I'm sorry, I keep bringing it up, but to me, that's what all this is about. We teach this training stuff so we can apply it to our husbands and kids. So we can modify their behavior so they're just better to live with. They may not like you when you say, no, you're going to stay in or not watch TV till your homework's done. But the love is there. It's still, you're making contact and you're building the love. They didn't like this behavior at the moment and what have you. The classical conditioning, the relationship part, is always all powerful. It's all powerful. Yes?
When you shift from, I know that you have it 1 second, when you shift from that jellying, the growling and stuff, and then shifting into high gear, is there anything you're looking for besides the cessation of the growling? I mean, what if the dog's face, all of a sudden the jaw tightens and then you just come forward?
Yeah, not so good. I mean, not just cessation of growling. You are looking for tongue, bent elbow, weight shifting, Stevie Wonder, and all that stuff. You're looking for the dog to lighten up. And that's so why... And it is kind of like, I mean, I agree somewhat with... I've forgotten her name now. It's embarrassing. Calming, Turid. That calming signals are really important. I just don't use doggy calming signals. I use human calming signals. And so I'm dealing with an aggressive dog, and I may be talking to the dog like this, and I'll say, well, look, we've really got to work this out, buddy, because, you got teeth, you can bite me, that would hurt, I don't like that. So if we can establish some kind of relationship, and I'm just putting across, I'm a normal guy. Bobby is probably the only person in the audience here who's seen me work. Oh, Joel, you've seen me work with dogs. Well, you saw me with Loki, with your dog. And I'm just... Hey, and there's, Loki, her dog, has a growl on him, which is like, this is scary. It's like, does this animal live below ground? And people are getting like this. And so I just take the leash and I say, Loki, that is one mother of a growl, buddy. Oh, he stops. And now he's playing with another dog and what have you. So you've got to give the calming signals, but you don't have to pretend that you're a dog and go, oh, and all this stuff, okay? The dog knows you are not a dog. The dog knows you are a person, and there are two types of people: uptight people who shout and punish, and relaxed people who don't. Yes. All the time. All the time. Unless I'm working with Mr. T. This was a 6-year-old Rottweiler in the first workshop I ever gave, and no one's listening. This was 1982, I think, down in the Inland Empire Rottweiler Club in Southern California. No one is listening to my lecture. This is Dr. Ian Dunbar going to talk about food treats and your Rottweiler. And so I said, okay, let's forget it. A lot of you have got dogs. Bring them all out the front. I'll work with them. And we lined them up, and the whole bunch. A little puppy, 3-month-old puppy here, up in age, to Mr. T, 6 years old at the end. And I said, okay, here's a letter from the president of the National Rottweiler Club to AKC judges, which said, what did it say? When judging the Rottweiler, do not approach head-on. Do so at a diagonal. You know, do not reach for the Rottweiler. Do not loom over the Rottweiler. Do not touch the Rottweiler. It goes through all of this stuff. It basically said, when judging the Rottweiler, buy a telescope. And so I read this out, and I said, okay, everybody knows Rotties are a little hand-shy, right, when you reach for their collar and when you look in their eyes. I said, I'm going to show that each of these dogs, I can smack them on the head and stare in their eyes, and they're going to love it. So we start with the puppy. Ridiculous, right? Hello. Liver, liver, bang, pat, pat, that's it. We move along, we're up to Mr. T. He's 6 years old. He doesn't even like the fact I'm standing here. So I thought, first we'll get him used to hand movement. Liver, liver. Then we did shadows over the eyes, liver. And then when he stopped looking, you know how they look at that hand? It's horrible. They're going, yeah, and you got, so when they stop that eyeball movement, now he's focused on the food, now the hand does more stuff. Okay, now he takes the food and touches my hand, does the same again, does the same again. Now I touch him, give him 3 bits of food. Now I touch him for 2 seconds, give him a bit of food. Touch him for 3 seconds, bit of food. Hold him for 5 seconds, bit of food. Now I reach quicker, food, quicker, food, quicker, food. And we do the same on his head. Touch, and I like to touch with the finger. By the way, dogs find this much less threatening than that. You actually see me in the serious video with Omaha. Go, good boy. It's nice, just touch it. So, touch, liver, touch, liver, touch, liver, touch, liver, touch, liver. Then I said, well, that's about it. Watch, smack. And he says, liver. And everyone in the audience just moved forward now. It was so funny watching the body. Guys, audience was half male as well, totally different from now. All these male trainers, a lot of Schutzen, lots of ring trainers and what have you. You know, like this, we're not going to believe this stuff, you know. Move forward like this. And again, you know, seeing is believing. All right, let's move along now. We can get back to the video, which means I need to know how to work it. And this needs to go in, and it's set up. This needs to go in?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to put it in? Where do I put it? Yes, these are... Oh, I don't know. I think these are children bubbles. They could be. Liver. So that's Bubbles. Bubbles is over. We also have Hose. Ollie loves the hose. He can attack the water stream forever. And it's just finding out what your dog's like. It could be retrieval. Let's have a little volume, please. Claude is obnoxious. He just barks in other dogs' ears. Now we have a little howling game. We also have barkathons, howlathons, all sorts of things. And neighbours think, God, their dogs are out of control. It's mainly us, but it's kind of fun.
Excellent. Good howling. They always feel
Now, if you want to be a good dog handler, it's essential to understand the nature of dogs. And the best way to do that is to observe how dogs behave with each other.
So I've got older?
As pack animals, they have to learn to get along together. These 2-week-old pups are already doing that by giving each other what they need most, warmth. Very soon, this little fellow will be finding his feet, and that's when he'll really start to learn how to behave. Now, these puppies are 6 weeks old, and this is really when play starts in earnest. And what's play about? Well, play is basically the time when the puppy does all the things that an adult dog would do, even though it's sort of bumbly and falling over, but it learns the appropriateness of each behavior. You'll see these little puppies, they'll jump on a puppy and lick it and be friendly, and then they will attack it. And everything's jumbled up, and bit by bit they learn. Ow! You notice after I yelped there, not only did he let go, but his little paw came up and a paw raise. That's the puppy's way of saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. As the puppy gets older, most of this biting here that's happening on the legs and the belly and the tail will all be up the front end of the dog. See, we're biting on the leg. That's not right. It hurts. So this puppy yelps, and bit by bit they learn if you want to bite, bite on the scruff and the ears and round the head. And that's very important later on if they get into a dog fight. That all the bites should be in a fight up on the front end of the dog. That's, if you like, the Marquis of dog-free fighting rules. Biting on the belly is a foul, and biting on the legs is a foul too. And they'll learn it in this process. Well, what we'll do now is I think we'll let these little puppies play on their own for a while. You can let go of my leg, please. Thank you. Now, it just worked itself up a little too much then until this fellow here said, I can't take it yet. And then we just take time out. You see the...
Now, if you want to learn, again, about the dog behavior, you want the video. This is just, I have lots of video of my dogs playing. It's such simple stuff. There's so much in this video. If you re-watch it without the sound, you'll really start to see now. And the key points you're looking for, the dog's tongue, its elbow. What's the elbow doing? You're going to see these paws like this all the time, play bows, and is the weight moving or is it still? So you're always searching for that. Otherwise, you will focus on the growls. You know, once the dog goes, and it's a terrible tendency now, as I said, in temperament tests to do that. And no one's coming out with a friendly quotient like we have. We say, well, he's got a pretty high friendly quotient. And yeah, he snapped. Yeah, but I prodded him 5 times with a pretend hand. I mean, that must freak some dogs out, thinking, God, he's got a long hand, Inspector Gadget. And in some temperament tests, you actually prod the dog, is it 25 times? Yeah, well, could you just, see that lady next to you? Could you poke her 25 times in a row? Yeah, you see what I mean? That is so annoying. I would snap. I don't want to be put down just because I snap because someone's being a jerk. You see what I mean? And I think we really need to reevaluate. We have to be representative. We have to evaluate the friendly behaviors as well as the few bad ones. And we have to make sure we test the animal, which is we make it react, but the actual test is judging the level of the reaction. It's not whether or not the dog reacts. Every single person in this room could lose their temper, and probably has. The question is, what do you do when you lose your temper? And that's what we need to know with dogs. If they haven't reacted, they haven't been tested. When they react, if they don't hurt, it's my kind of dog. Because I now know the answer to the unanswerable question. What would happen if a little dog came up to your Rottweiler? A child came up to your Rottweiler and grabbed the dog by the cheeks and bit him on the nose. What would your Rottweiler do? We now know the answer to the question. Whoa! Frighten the living daylights out of the kid. They wet their pants, but no damage is done. You see what I mean? We've got to get some common sense back here in terms of temperament testing. Yes?
Can you predict the level of the reaction? If you know what level the dog will react at, but perhaps there's another stressor involved that you're not taking into consideration?
Pretty much it goes like this, that if we deal with dogs biting people, and we classify that 1 through 6, you'll see this afternoon, that if you've got a dog that's a level 1 biter, a level 2 biter, you're going to have at least another 10 incidents. It's level 2. It's gradually going to increase as the incidents go on, but you've got a lot of leeway there. Now, you may get a little jump if all of a sudden we change the stimulus from a grown man to a child who's got a baseball bat and they poke the dog around his food bowl. Woo! You may have a level 3 bite, okay? So it will gradually increase. You may get differences where a dog will only bite dad at level 1, but mum he nails at level 3, stuff like this. So it's a very good predictor. For me, it answers the question, am I willing to work with that dog? Do I think I have a prognosis where I can leave the owner with this dog in good conscience, knowing that if the dog goes off, that's number one, if the dog goes off, because I've done everything possible now to pad the dog with classical conditioning, progressive desensitization. This dog now loves children, and he really loves children with baseball bats who poke him. I'm being serious. That dog is as next to bomb-proof as we can get it, and we've done loads of bite inhibition work, so that if he goes off, the odds are he will bite less hard than he did the first time. However, there is no guarantee in dog behavior any more than you can guarantee that guy's behavior sitting next to you. I'm being serious. There's no guarantee for behavior of another individual. And we have certain tendencies that we bank our life on. He's your husband, right? Yeah. And so you're married and you've made a decision, okay, yeah, I'll bank my life on him. He's a good guy. I'll live with him. And that's kind of like the judgment we make with the dogs. He's a level 2 biter. I'm going to bet my hands that he will be safe. And thus far, I've been pretty damn good at it. Okay? Made mistakes, but it's how we learn. All right? A question?
Is the varying bite inhibition levels, is it the same for dogs? Like if the dog is getting in fights with the dog?
No, what you find is there's often no correlation between how hard a dog will bite another dog and how hard he'll bite a person.
No, but I'm saying is if they have good bite inhibition with their dog they live at home, is it safe to say that they will have that same good level of bite inhibition with other dogs that come across?
Yes and no. The question is, if the dog has good bite inhibition with the dog at home, is he going to be okay with other dogs? Yes, there will be some generalization, but no, you could quite easily get a dog. He's not been socialized. The owner thinks him socialized because he plays with like a maniac with his friends at home, and he has good bite inhibition with them. But we go out on the streets and he immediately gets stressed. Nah, the bite inhibition's waning before we even get into a fight. But if you've seen a dog, let's say, we have a dog, at home they have 10 arguments a day, the dogs that live at home. In the dog park now, this dog is 8 months old, he's been in 5 fights, never caused any damage. He's got great bite inhibition and the odds are he'll keep it for another year or so. If we intervene and stop him doing this stupid fighting stuff with a little classical conditioning and common sense, then the bite inhibition won't drift. If, on the other hand, we let him get in more fights, so now he's 2 years old, he's been in 20 fights, he's never hurt another dog, but you know what? We've stopped socializing him now. Now his bite inhibition's drifting. And all of a sudden, he's 4 years old and he escapes or what have you, boom, he nails a dog and sinks his teeth into it. Okay? So the typical dog you've got in your growl class is from 5 months to 2 years old. And he's been in from 1 to 20 fights. Never hurt another dog. And we're going to resolve this really quickly. He's going to learn 2 things in the growl class. 1, to listen to the owner. So now the owner can control him around other dogs. And the most important commands are sit, watch me. Okay? As soon as you get the dog to watch you and look away from the other dog, you've solved a lot of the problem. Some of the dogs will learn to play with other dogs. Not all of them. It really depends on the owner. Okay? So we can do an awful lot. If, on the other hand, we have a 5-year-old dog and he's been in 3 fights and he's killed every dog, no, we're not going to have him in a growl class. You are not going to improve his bite inhibition vis-a-vis other dogs. So if you have a dog that's harming other dogs or a dog that's predation, killing other animals, you are not going to be successful. We're going to manage and pray that you do everything possible to prevent another interaction, altercation happening. You may do aversive conditioning. Some trainers will do that with a shock collar. And all that means is now this dog doesn't feel good, say, when sheep are around. And he probably won't approach them. But if one day your kid lets all the sheep out and they come running in the yard, and your dog, he will kill them again. Okay? You've done nothing about the bite inhibition. Okay? Right, let's get back to the video. There we go. Play.
Another very important lesson to learn when you're playing with your dog. Don't play for 5 minutes with the dog like a maniac. Just play with him a bit, then settle him down. Play with him a bit, settle him down. You'll notice while they're playing here, they're pausing.
Okay, you heard that bit of advice, right? That's the most important advice for puppy class. If dogs are having a good time, you must interrupt it every 15 seconds. What are the good times that they can have? They're just wandering and sniffing on their own in the park. You better interrupt that every 15 seconds or you have hell of a distraction to training. Dogs playing with other dogs is probably the #1 good time they have. You've got to interrupt it every 15 seconds. The interruption can be as simple as, hey, Rover, and the dog looks at you, continue playing. Or I like to say, Rover, sit. Sit, go play. That's it. You're just checking you're in control. And when you do that, you keep interrupting the play session, you can give the dog the play session again. Most people, when they take the dog to the dog park, they walk there like an idiot with the dog pulling them down, let the dog off leash, and give the dog a dog park, a half an hour's dog park as a reward for pulling them on leash. It's ridiculous. Then they say, come here, and when the dog comes, they put him on leash and take him home. No, you want to keep interrupting the play. Rover, sit. Where's a good boy? Go play. Maybe take his collar. Maybe give him a food treat. What have you, and go play. Sit, go play. Sit, go play. Sit, go play. Every time you stop the play session, you can use it as a reward again in training. Okay? That's the most important thing. And that's the difference, real big difference between a good puppy class and a not good one. The not good ones don't have, the owners aren't doing much at all because the trainer's talking all the damn time. I tell my trainers, don't talk. Everybody gets 2 books. If someone asks a question, you say, page 149. Did you read the book? Okay, you read it and give me the answer next week. Everything's written down. Everything they should want to know is written down. If it's not, we revise handouts and I'll revise the book. Okay? So, most people are sitting down, the trainer's talking, they're not doing anything, or the trainer's demonstrating. No, owners should be doing. That's #1. And that's Sunday's lecture. The owners should be doing for 60 minutes. There should be no talking, no proselytizing. They aren't listening. You're not disseminating information. It's owners doing, proving to you they've got it. And #2, you interrupt the puppy's good time every 15 seconds minimum. Okay? And it can be as simple as take the collar, give a treat, and that's it. Or sit, go play. And they, to me, are 2 ingredients of a really good puppy class that the owners are doing the whole time. And what are they doing? They're playing games. The whole thing is games. Why? It's fast-moving, and you're quantifying everything. So you can prove to the owners they're learning, because that's what they worry about week 3. The puppy is driving them crazy. They're pulling their hair out. Mother never wanted it anyway. It was her husband's idea. She's got 3 kids. He doesn't help with them. He never gets home from work. You know, and she's now coming to puppy class with 3 damn kids as well that are running around, picking their nose and wiping it on the walls. And Mum has had it. And you've got to show her how good she's doing, how she's improving.
Signaling there is, I'm friendly, now I'm going to bite you. So it lets the other dog know that the bite is in play. That's what we call an atmosphere cue that changes the meaning of the following behaviors. Little prey shake comes out there. That's what it's all about. Little puppies do all the things adult dogs do. It just looks...
Oh, shit. Oh! Puppies in an area covered in newspaper. We know how we raise puppies, right? They should be in a long-term confinement area that's an auto-shaping system. You know, puppy's bed, water, puppy's toys, puppy's toilet. If they're raised in an area covered by newspapers, what have they been trained to do? To pee and poop everywhere and anywhere. And that's precisely what they will do when they go to their new home. You're setting the owner up for failure. You know, it's really crazy. And, of course, I know what the dog's going to do. I can remember Sunday afternoons in England, we'd always go out and buy 6 Sunday newspapers and sit on the floor and spread them out. And in comes the puppy, oh, the Sunday Observer. You know, right on top of Arsenal on the sports page. It's going to be horrible. Here we go. Sorry, I promised not to press the wrong buttons. Play.
The little puppy had his tail bitten, and you think, oh, he's not liking that, but then he follows the other puppy out of the box. It's a surprise attack there.
See all the paw raising? We're making that snarky
Even
pig
at this
noise,
stage,
but we're still waving our
pick out
paw.
what looks like the boss of the litter, this fellow on the top here. Except he got very neatly put in his place there. And that happens a lot. A lot of us think that, you know, the hierarchy is fixed. It's not. A low-ranking dog is quite in its rights to rebuke a high-ranking dog. They certainly don't rule with an iron hand. They have a lot more understanding. I think we can learn an awful lot from that. You don't have to keep squishing dogs and squashing them to get respect. See, the little dog sits down and says, no, I don't want to play with you. You're too rough at the moment.
Okay, so things we're learning from this. Number 1, puppies play all the time. All the play involves biting. Therefore, biting must be very important. The play has flow. Speeds up, gets out of control, calms down. Speeds up like this. That's what you've got to do in your puppy class all the time. Get them crazy. Why? So you can practice calming them down. You can't practice calming dogs down if they don't go crazy. You can't practice getting dogs' attention unless you let them get distracted. Turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off. Watching the paws. They're going crazy. It's like bent elbow city here. You know, and the dog can be... and at the same time he's going, it's play, atmosphere cue. It says the growl was a joke. I don't mean it, okay? So it says we're playing. That's what play is. You can't distinguish from these, when you see adult dogs, the noises they're going to make between a real growl and a play growl. That's why they have the atmosphere cues. And in some breeds, like a little pit bull coming up, they are so obvious. The dog is possessed. I mean, this dog is, you call him Mr. Bent Elbow. Other thing, what was the other thing I was going to, never forgotten it, never mind.
All of this sounds really fierce, but it's only play, and the dogs keep signaling that it's only play by raising their paws and play bowing. It's the same when they get adults. A lot of play can sound totally ferocious, but if you look carefully, you'll see the signs that it is only play. So much of the social rules and etiquette in later life are just being learnt right now. basic skills that help dogs relate to each other in adult life. Next week, we'll be observing how older dogs communicate through body language and finding out.
So this is Claude and the little Pit we were looking after. So this is old male dog, young puppy. Well, not old male dog, young male dog. Very young puppy.
She's so funny.
At the moment, the puppy looks like a gnat buzzing round a stool. You notice what the puppy doesn't do is bump into Claude. That would be bad news. You notice how the puppy keeps going into sit stays and down stays, stand stays. Ollie doesn't like playing with other dogs. Uh-oh. And what Claude is doing is just ignoring this little annoyance. Oh, he can bark at Ollie. Now the pup is on the rope. We can't have that.
Get it. Oh.
Now what's going on here is Ollie wants to take the rope away from the puppy. Claude doesn't want Ollie to do that, so he barks. Ollie cannot stand it when Claude barks at him.
Go get your rope. Get it. Go, go, go. Pull. Pull. Grab it. Pull.
Once Ollie gets the confidence to do it, he's rope king. No dog can beat Ollie. Claude was liked, I would imagine Claude enjoyed the puppy running around him. Ollie will play one-on-one games, tug of war. So now Claude's left all alone. The tree is still standing. So dogs have to play. Play is how they learn to structure their lives. Ollie's 10 last week. Now this is Pencil, who's now a drug-sniffing dog. And sit stay, okay? You'll see an... Pardon? Yes, a Malinois. You'll see very often that dogs will teach other dogs to sit or lie down. That's what we do in puppy class. So the dogs will maintain this low profile in a sit stay, a down stay, or a stand stay. And all the adult dog has done is nothing but ignore them. See, we come over, we lie down. Claude just ignores the dog. Puppy pee. Sorry, I can never stop filming a pee. It's just ingrained in me. Muzzle licking, roll over, inguinal exposure. Claude generally won't play outdoors. Outdoors, he just likes to walk around, sniff. He'll play with the cats, but not with dogs. Indoors, he's a playing fool. Let's move to indoors, if I can.
Is this your male puppy?
No, this was a friend's dog who was staying with us. And now works, I think, for military customs somewhere.
Here, puppy, here.
Was being trained up as a sniffer. Beautiful. Just such respect. And we fall over. Claude's starting to play now only because the puppy wants to. So, I'll just keep the ball. Just because the puppy wants it. And the puppy sits. And I'm taking my ball and going home. Yes. What happened before this, see, the puppy was playing with the ball. Claude doesn't want it. He just doesn't want the puppy. Now you see some pretty good play, and watching this, you'll notice the puppy is in control of the speed, if you like, because some pretty rough stuff happens here. It's the puppy that's actually dictating when we stop, when we start. And Claude is very inappropriate when he plays, does a lot of leg biting. But no one ever questions him on it because he weighs 110 pounds. Now again, what do we learn from this? Dogs spend all their time biting each other when they play. Therefore, it's got to be really important behavior. Bite inhibition. All comes down to bite inhibition. It's the number one most important quality in any animal, human included. Do we know how to inhibit our weapons? And you'll see here, this little Malinois is starting to get really tired, but he wants to continue playing. I can't remember what his real name is. I used to call him Pencil. Pause again. You get it? These pauses will happen all the time. Mutual agreement. The puppy's asking for them. Then the puppy initiates again. That's the way your play session should be in puppy class. Going crazy? Stop. Going crazy? Stop. People who know me know I never answer the phone. So you hear this a lot in my videos. The phone's ringing. So... Lots of lovely bent elbow, good paw stuff, puppy rolling over. Claude spooks any moment. Yep. To reach. Little pause again. Now, you've all watched Claude up till now, and you probably thought, what a cool dog. He's kind of dopey, wandering around. Nothing would faze him. The cupboard door opens. He now flashes back to puppyhood. The dog will never be what he could have been. He's come an awful long way with us, awful long way. Doesn't bite people now when they touch his collar or his butt. Before you touch his collar, you got bitten. Touch his butt, you get bitten. Hug him, you get bitten. Give him a kiss, you get growled at and then bitten. Now you can do what you like to him. Very trustworthy dog. He's actually, of all the dogs in the house, I don't pay attention to Claude when people come round. I'm watching Ollie, so that he doesn't bark, because that scares people. And obviously watching the puppy if the puppy's out, because puppy's got 6 months old and got lots to learn. Flashback, we've done lots of work with Claude, all elastoplast and bandages. It's still in there. The dog will never have the confidence, and it's strange things that will do this. Pick up a stick. Instantly. Moving by, I've been doing lots of construction, and I touched him with the step ladder. He acted like I was going to kill him. Cringed, screamed, everything. And flashing back to whatever happened back then, or whatever didn't happen back then. And this is what I mean by, at 8 weeks, you're behaviorally retarded. Yeah, you can do a lot and make that into a pretty good dog, but he'll never be what he could have been. And this I find, Claude really keeps bringing it out to me because he can act so cool. This was Jean Donaldson's choice of the other dog. When she has aggressive dogs that have no confidence, oh, bring in Claude. He'll be fine. He'll teach them confidence because he's totally unconcerned. They're attacking him and he's like, oh, I think I'll sniff my bum here or something like that. He's absolutely unconcerned to what they're doing. He's kind of socially unaware. But then spooky stuff will happen. Used to be, trucks, sticks, sudden movements, any contact that's out of the ordinary. Stand by him, just touch him with your foot, like this. It's still in there. So this is what socialization is all about, stopping this happening to him. Yes, he can relate in society, and he does a pretty good job, but he still keeps losing it. We'll stop now, I'll describe what's going to happen. That's a good one. Yeah, what's happening now is the puppy, it's getting too rough for him. Yelp, you see how it stops immediately? And actually there's a worse moment where Claude really gets rough on him and the puppy lets out a real squeak. Play stops. But then the interesting thing is, the next thing is, after 10 seconds, the puppy goes, do you want to play again? And starts the play again. So we can stop that. There we go. Good. All right. Any questions? Yes.
Has Claude always played, he plays inappropriately with dogs by biting their, is that because he wasn't properly socialized to other dogs?
I don't know the why. I just know that's what he does.
And can it ever be trained out of him?
Oh yeah, with Ollie. I don't care about it with other puppies. I think it's very important that, say, Dune, for example, learns, you got to learn how to put up with jerks. And Claude's a very nice dog, and he has a big brother, but he's a bit of a jerk at times, so get over it. But with Ollie, we stop it. He will grab Ollie's leg, and we say, Claude, get off. It's like Ollie now is 10, and he's one of these he's a sad sack, Ollie. He really is. It's like you look at him on the couch. He's on a leather couch, for God's sake. And he'll go, oh, God. And whether it's the fact he's watching telly and Chelsea has just lost, I don't know what it is, but he's just sad about everything. And I think I have a big thing about 10-year-old dogs. Once you turn 10, you own the place. And now, from now on, Claude is not going to grab hold of your leg. It's just so annoying. You're walking into the kitchen, and then, 110 pounds of idiot grabs your thigh and is pulling you backwards. It must be so annoying. And what happens is, if Ollie says to Claude, quit it, Claude will go, whoa! It's unbelievable, his bark, right in Ollie's ear, and Ollie hates that. He goes, oh! And then he'll go, whoa, 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 and then Claude will go, whoa! Even louder. It's bizarre. So we just say, quit it. So in the park, he's on his own. If he wants to do that stuff with other dogs, he will eventually pick the wrong dog to do it to and maybe learn something.
He never did it too hard, though.
No, I mean, you see it happening and you think, oh, God. I mean, especially when he's dragging the puppy, say, by the thigh. You think, this is not right. Then you see the puppy's front legs collapse from under it and his chin hits the ground and he's being dragged thwump, thwump, thwump down the stairs. Yes?
I guess I don't know, Claude, sorry, how old was he when you got him?
Turn that off.
Rescue, or?
The San Francisco SPCA said he was 4 years and 4 months old. Within 3 weeks of owning him, we reevaluated his age as 8 months. It was so funny. It just came down and down and down and down, and we realized this dog is an adolescent. And I can't remember whether it was 8 months or 10 months we evaluated him at, but basically how long has the SPCA had him, because they didn't pick him up till he was, say 5 months old. They found him roaming the streets in San Francisco, and all we can piece together is, I think he lived with a man who drove a truck, who he both loved and hated because the man hit him with a stick. But he has this weird thing about trucks where he hates them, but he can't stop going up to them. And, but you never know. One day, because he's on TV a lot and photos a lot, someone will say, that's my dog, I lost, Hieronymus, or whatever they called him, or, So, question?
When Claude is grabbing Ollie's leg, and that's a continuous thing, but you're able to stop it
Mm-hmm.
giving that, whatever that is, would you ever use a negative punishment marker and then something like
Yep.
a timeout in order to
Yeah.
extinguish it?
Yeah. So basically, the Claude quit it would be the marker, and if he doesn't quit it, Claude, get out of here. Go on, go, leave. You just lost room privileges, wherever we are, kitchen, living room, bedroom, on the bed. Just get out of here, and I'll spend the time with Ollie. With a younger dog, I would probably, whenever you intervene in a social thing, it's usually best to give the same punishment or the same feedback to all dogs. I now favor Ollie because since, and what Kelly does too. He's the old guy now. But if they were young dogs and one dog is doing something inappropriate, I would say, dogs, get out of here. Why? Any one of these dogs could have stopped this happening. Not just the guilty dumb one, but this dog could have stopped that dog from grabbing his leg. And when they all get this is the difference in punishment. There's 3 types of punishment, whether negative or positive, in terms of how you deliver them. One is the typical, you do something wrong, I punish you. It's usually not very effective, and you'll see why tomorrow. There's so many rules that you have to keep to make this punishment effective. Then we have the school teacher punishment, which I just described. Oh dear, your mobile phone went off again. Well, I'm not lecturing this afternoon. I punish you all. So what happens is, she leaves the room and you beat the crap out of her. So, then you have the military punishment, okay? And this is where the sergeant major will sort of look at his platoon and what have you, and he's looking round, and I'm looking for 2 particular guys. This guy here and that guy there, and I consider these are the troublemakers. And so now I do my routine, and it's all a setup, and I say, right, you horrible lot. Then I say, do you think this is funny? Do you think this is funny? You, do 100 push-ups. And so then we dismiss the platoon. He turns around and creams this guy. But, hey, he got punished by me. So I'm in control of him, he's in control of him, and the 2 of them will run the platoon. So you get that type of punishment, okay? Totally weird and bizarre. I mean, the military, boy, can they sure find funny ways of doing stuff. you know. Um, which is like dog training, really. It's like why dog training was where it is, that it became a military thing. And they thought, we have a dog we're trying to teach. How could we make this really unpleasant? And that's actually a difficult exercise if you think about it. You got a dog, and we just saw these puppies. We so cute. How can you make that unpleasant? It was done. And I know how to make it really unpleasant. Let's repeat it 20 times in a row the same way. Anyway, get out of here, back at 2 o'clock. Do we have any volunteers who would like to help decorate the room for this evening? If so, please see Tim. See Tim? Wave Tim. And go and give him your name now at the back of the room. And we've got to put up the island decorations, whatever they're going to be. I don't know, a plastic parrot, or perhaps we've chopped down a palm tree and brought it indoors or something. Right. Play sessions.
Oh, my word. Is that my mum?
Oh, it says,
I wonder how long she's been calling.
Righty, we're going to have a play session as usual. So let's just let them all off at once, and we'll see how they've changed over the last 2 weeks.
A well-socialized dog will be confident and even-tempered. Everything we've been doing in training has been aimed at producing a pet with a good disposition. Frequent playtimes are the best way of achieving this.
now we're getting to the point where the play is going over the top. We must
It's a hold
interrupt
down
this.
on Murphy here. 1, 2, 3. That's it. First ball to Jake. That's a good dog. Good dog. Now, one thing you'll find that changes this little interaction here is if your dog knows shush. For the dogs that know shush, if we find this disturbing, we just say shush. And then you'll find when you look at it without the sound on, what you see is something completely different. When you hear this, everyone thinks, oh my God, dog's killing her. Okay? But as you can see, if we just take hold of Ginty here, at which point now, Chico can run off. So obviously Chico's really being bullied to death. Yeah. But if you don't like that growling, then number one, check you can stop it.
Okay, just a real quick, short clip. You've got to do that a lot. People get very upset when dogs are playing. I don't. Recently we took Dune to puppy class, and lots of people were upset. I wasn't. I just thought he's a really boisterous American Bulldog puppy, and it's totally appropriate play. But a lot of other people get very upset. So you stop it. You do the tether test. Just like when we did the test for proceptivity. If you tether one animal, you can now, the other animal, you can look at its preferences. What would it rather do? Run and hide, sit down there, play with another dog, or 95% of the time, run up here and play with the dog that you thought was bullying it. And it's a very lovely way to illustrate to people that we're not being bullied. Yes?
What are the ages of dogs in a class like this?
That class is a puppy class. So they are, I don't know, that was the second class. So it would be, some are probably 4 months. They're probably a little older than most puppy classes because I had to commute to England to teach it. So we were going over at 2-week intervals.
So you give strict guidelines on the ages, you don't mix them?
Oh, yeah. Teaching a puppy class, ages are critical. Remember, all of what we've talked about this morning has to do with development. Age is critical. Weight is important according to the age. Activity is important according to the age. But the age is the thing. And first, so we have a time window for when puppies can come to puppy class. Now, when can they come in? For our classes, 12 weeks is the earliest. And that's just my decision, and it's based on me being a veterinarian and a behaviorist. And I want it to be safe for the puppies, vis-a-vis parvo and distemper. But I want to make sure we do a lot of behavior training. So my rationale for not starting until 12 weeks is all I want to see is the puppy has 2 shots after 9 weeks of age, at least 2 weeks apart, and then 1 week later, I would say they have enough immunity for me to be in a group setting where we're going to do lots of good. So that means the earliest they could be in class is a shot at 9 weeks, 11 weeks, in class at 12. So that's what I want. And let me finish. And their veterinarian agrees. You don't want to fall out with veterinarians. You're getting business from them. The other reason is because a lot of people now are starting puppy classes at 8 weeks. And this is actually spearheaded by R.K. Anderson, a veterinarian. And when you consider all the risks, it's a really safe thing to do. If you're just considering parvo and distemper, a puppy class is a relatively safe environment. Far safer than, say, a veterinary waiting room. Far safer than on the ground outside of a vet clinic, which is basically instant parvo distemper infection right there. So we want to maintain some routine hygiene, but this is a relatively safe place. But I don't want them there until 12 weeks because you know what? You have so much to do at home between 8 weeks and 12 weeks. You've got to house train, chew toy train your dog within the first couple of days. You've then got to socialize it to people before it's 12 weeks old. You're not going to socialize your dog to people by bringing him to one puppy class. He needs to see 100 people between 8 weeks and 12 weeks of age. I mean, we always forget the obvious. It's amazing when people argue. They will pick on red herrings and insignificant details and get into an argument, and we miss the fact that we have a critical period of socialization. Now, it's not like onset and offset. It doesn't suddenly come on at 3 weeks and end at 13 weeks. It starts at birth. Not too much happens there because they're blind and deaf, but they can smell and feel. So neonatal handling is really important. And now the effect of handling will decay like this, whoop, exponentially. And you get to a point where you think, yeah, it's kind of now not having much of an effect. 13 weeks was the date they arbitrarily picked. Suffice it to say, by 3 months of age, your critical period of socialization is pretty much over. This is the time, the opportunity you had for any social interaction, for better or worse, to have a maximal effect on the development of the dog's temperament. So most people are getting their dogs, it goes back to what we talked about yesterday, most people are getting their dogs at 8 weeks. Critical period of socialization is 2/3 over. And I really want now owners to focus on, they get the dog at 8 weeks, what are their priorities? Number one is behavior training. They've got to house train this dog, chew toy train this dog, and some basic manners, or else the owner won't keep the dog. That is a bigger physical health hazard than parvo and distemper ever could be. More dogs die because they aren't house trained or chew toy trained than have ever died from parvo and distemper. The most important thing is bite inhibition. That can wait. That's cool. We don't have to get that done until they're about 5 months old. But socialization with people, you can't put it on hold. You can't put it on hold. It's everything. That is companion dog right there. Does it like people? What's the point of having a companion dog if it doesn't like strangers, doesn't like your friends, doesn't like your family, or doesn't like you? The whole thing is ridiculous. So that really is the most pressing and important priority. And you've got just 4 weeks to do it, so let's focus. Once you've socialized the dog to people, you can now bring him to puppy class to continue socializing him to people, to revamp his dog-dog socialization, which is now a bit in arrears, because a lot of puppies have been living for 4 weeks in a house with no other dogs, and to have a trainer guide you through all the other stuff, teaching manners and bite inhibition. Because the owners will not get this bite inhibition thing. And that's where the play session is important. You have got to, now I would never say this to a group of owners, and I know we have some owners in the audience, so close your ears at this point. This is for dog trainers and veterinarians only. What's happening when we bring a 12-week-old puppy into puppy class is this dog learns to become a social loon. I know we're damaging the dog in that respect, but the dog will play with an energy and force that he's never done before, and he will learn this within 5 to 10 minutes. And in this 1-hour play session, week 1, that dog will have bitten more times than he will bite humans in the entire next week. So when they take him home from week 1 of play session, they will now have a dog that's a social loon and wants to bite something. Whereas no puppies there, so he'll bite the family. Okay? I would never admit this to owners, because they're saying this, damn biting, how do you stop the biting? We don't want to stop it now. If we stop that puppy biting, you have a very dangerous animal, because all he learns is don't bite people. But what if he does? He will bite someone when he's 3 years old and someone shuts his tail in the car door, and he will bite them so hard he'll sink his teeth through their flesh till it pierces the bone, because he hasn't learned to inhibit the force of his bites. And that's why the biting must continue. So now, to end the question, what's the cutoff point for entering a puppy class? 4.5 months. You can, with impunity, or I can, take any puppy, as long as he's between the age of 3 months and 4.5 months. I feel totally at ease at letting them off leash. And I know I'm not going to get a lawsuit that this puppy has bitten a person, and I'm not going to get a lawsuit because he's damaged another dog. Yeah, they may nip people and what have you, but they're not going to sue you in situations like this. The puppy is a biting maniac, but he's harmless because he doesn't have the jaws yet. If you move from just 4.5 months to 5 months, you have a totally different beast who has canines that are now 2/3 of the way through and jaws which are probably 50% the power of adult jaws. They can crack down and break your bones. And that's just that change at 4.5 months is enormous. They change from puppies to adolescents. So that's the time window that I have, and those are all the reasons. That's why the answer's long. I know, hang on a second, I know, just wait. Yeah. And then that's the puppy tract. And the class is taught off-leash the entire time, unless we're doing leash work. And then they go into puppy 2. Well, they have to do puppy 1 before they can do puppy 2, because puppy 2 is off-leash. But now it's adolescent and adult dogs, which we can only let play off-leash if they've had puppy 1 and they have bite inhibition. So if they miss puppy 1, they miss that whole tract of classes. Puppy 1, puppy 2, then we have puppy 3s, and puppy 3 is a neat class. This is what I call the trainer's choice class. The trainers get 80% of the gross. That's pretty cool to start with. You work that out. 12 puppies are $185 each. So what are you going to earn? 80% of that in just 6 hours work? Plus, it's by trainer's invitation only. All dogs must have done puppy 1, puppy 2. So what you get in a puppy 3 class is these brilliant dogs, your favorite dogs with your favorite owners. And a puppy 3 can be anything. Some trainers do agility, others do tricks, others do competitive obedience, others just do puppy 3. Okay? We're now adding on another class called Canine Games class, which we'll talk about on Sunday, because I want to solicit a lot of people here who are interested in having teams in a completely new competition that I'm forming, which will be international. And it will be the Canine Games. And my purpose here is this will be the biggest money sport in dogs. The prizes will be astronomical. And we know this from the amount of sponsorship people want to give us, because it's such a fun event. And everything else pales compared with it. And anyway, we demonstrate every dog event. That's part of the Canine Games. Have an hour of games, hour of demos, hour of games, hour of demos. And any day you have 4 hours of games with 3 hours of demos, and in each demo hour you have 3 demos. So 1 hour could be agility flyball ring sport. And it's so fast moving and everything's happening and you don't get bored. And it just shows to the general public, this is what a well-trained dog is. See, he likes people, he's off leash. They talk to him, he listens. And to let them know, and this is the last step in what I look on as my very long walk through this career. One is creating the field. It didn't exist when I started. There weren't books to read. You couldn't read anything on this stuff. There was Michael Fox's stuff, Scott and Fuller. That was it. There was nothing. All the training books were just so boring. And they were all the same. Put a leash on the dog and do this. There was no behavior training, no temperament training, no pet dog training. It was all obedience and working dogs. So first create the field and then find out why it's not working. So concentrate on kennel clubs, on breeders. There wasn't the problem. So then I thought, oh, it's obedience clubs. No, that's not the problem. They do their own little thing. What percentage of dogs compete in obedience? 0.5%, if that? No. It's pet dog training. So then we had to create the pet dog training field, the Pt2. Then we had to make sure pet dog trainers got educated. Then veterinarians got educated so they knew that if they want to have a fun practice and have dogs the way you can squeeze anal glands without having your lips shredded, then send your puppies to pet dog trainers to teach them that. Okay? We're now one step to do, which is to let the general public know training is a giggle. And you can do it one of two ways. You can laugh and end up with a dog that loves you and he's reliable off-leash, or you can do it in a way which is miserable, boring, and you piss the dog off and he doesn't like you. And it's your choice. And that will be the thing that then changes dog training for good. That there's no going back once the end consumer is making the choice. And then people have to change. It doesn't matter what method you think. You now have to give them what they want. And this is the power of TV. A lot of this stuff comes from my TV program in England. And the effect that had, it never made it in America. I mean, it played in Malta, in Singapore, in Japan. I mean, in weirdest of countries. Not that those countries are weird. But it didn't play in America, in England, in 1 year. When we started the program, there was only one puppy school in England, strangely enough, held at the vet clinic of one of my flatmates when I was at college. An amazing coincidence that I won't bore you with, so we have to move quickly. The program showed at the end of 10 weeks, there were 83 puppy schools in England. Because the general public came to class and said, no, we don't want this. We want, the off-leash, the fun thing. The guy, sit down, sit. And they had to give it, or people just walked out. So that's it. Now, you need another question?
Well, you had, in your colony with your beagles, you had talked about how the adults had helped teach the younger ones, the puppies. Do you feel like that happens in any way that you have your puppies?
Oh, God, no. It's awful. It's awful. What you're creating in puppy class is a wonderful situation, but also potentially disastrous, to have a puppy or a child in a group of the similar age. You're going to get energy levels like you can't record with a scientific instrument. I mean, we all know 1 child is okay, 2, you've got a nightmare, 3, you've got a moonshot, And so what you're doing is you're making these dogs crazy. But there's method to the madness. If we make them crazy, we can practice calming them down. Or better still, we can get the owners to develop the confidence that no matter what their puppy is doing, you saw that last bit, and they're now like getting to be 5 months old. They're loons. They're out of control. And so every 15 seconds we say, grab your dog by the collar, give him a treat, let him go play. Step 1. Step 2, we say, grab him by the collar, have him sit, give him the treat, let him go play. Step 3, run up to your dog and say, hey, sit, without touching him. When he sits, take his collar to prove that you could, give him 3 treats, let him go play. The final stage is you're sitting in a chair and watching the play session. You say, Rover, sit, good boy, go play. We'll talk more on Sunday how we do that, okay? And now you've got it. And now whether you're walking the dog in the park, you're at a dog park, you invite a play date to come over to play with your dog, you're just standing there and periodically you say, Rover, sit, good dog, go play. Now you've got this tremendous control over the dog. Why? Because he's learned sit is not the end of the world, it's not the end of the play session, and moreover, sit is reinforced by go play over and over again. So now you've got that off-leash reliability. That someone comes to the door, it's Halloween, and you've got 26 ninjas, or whatever it is, And you just say to your dog, sit. And I've been there, done that, puppy class. And I was thinking actually on the plane coming out here of the things we don't do in puppy class now that I did 20 years ago. That what we used to do was on even-numbered weeks, on week 2, everyone had to carry something different. Week 4, everybody had to wear something different. And week 6, it was party time. You carry something different, you wear something different, and you act silly. John Cleese walks, clown outfits, beer cans on your head, everything. And that was the standard format for my regular puppy class. And I just thought, we don't do that anymore. And the owners loved it. I mean, the looks you get when the advertising, when hear people coming into your puppy class on week 6. One guy, he's got a black Labrador called Charger, he's got 2 bud cans on his head and pipes around like this and a Ronald Reagan mask. There's your advertisement right there. You don't need to advertise in the community, but the socialization is just incredible. And you're throwing everything at the puppies while their age is less than 1. Dogs weren't walked in Concord back then, suburban dogs. And so I actually go and I say, would you like to walk with your dog in public? I go through each person. I say, think about it. Or would you rather you live at home and you read books and the dog's on the couch beside you and goes out to play and pee in the yard and you have friends around? And a good half the people in Berkeley are admitting they're actually going to have a house yard dog. They don't intend to walk it and take it to places. Well, the people who are going to walk it and take it to places, I don't have to give them any advice because they're going to do it. Because as they walk their dog and take it to, we have 3 dog parks in Berkeley, you know, that's socialization continuing. With these people, I explain to them, you do realize in about 3 months' time, you won't be able to walk your dog without him going after other dogs and without him being a target for other dogs to attack. So I go through it with them. And I say, your choice. If you want to be able to walk your dogs, then you walk them every day. If you want to be able to take your dogs to parks, you do it every day. If you don't want to, that's okay, but please don't think that you're going to suddenly take them to a birthday party in a year's time.
I remember to get the bottle.
That's incredible. Look at that, I don't even move my hand. God, that is really cool. Lemonade, I really like lemonade. It's good. So, yeah, very important stuff. All right? Right, ready? Let's move on. Yes?
You say take your dog to the doggy park or the puppies to the doggy park. What about daycare versus doggy park?
It depends on the daycare. So the question is, will daycare do? Occasionally, yes. Most times, no. What's happening in daycare at the moment is, unbeknownst to the owner, they're turning the dogs into athletes, maniacs. And it's really funny because it's really well-meaning daycare people, and they have these dogs in the day, and they're playing this game and that game and revving them up, and they have a staff-to-puppy ratio that's ridiculous. And I keep telling them, you're actually not doing them a favor here. What you want to do is take these dogs in the morning, crepuscular, early morning, have a couple of games, DP, de-poop the dogs, give them a stuffed Kong, put them in a crate, say good night. Till 4 p.m. And at 4 p.m. we get out, DP, de-poop them, because if they're puppies they'll need extra trips out. 4 p.m. we wake them up, the crepuscular high again, play some games, so the owners will see lots of games when they drop them off, lots of games when they pick them up, but the dogs sleep all day long, which is the only way they will ever get to spend time at home. If they're going to these daycares where they are revved, I mean, I know some that are playing like canine games type activities all day long. And so what happens is, it's a great marketing ploy, because the dog goes home and goes, Jesus, whoa, on the couch like this, you know, and the owner has to like pick it, this limp thing up at night and massage its bladder to DP it at night, you know. But they can never leave the dog at home in the day, because this dog wakes up at night and says, right, I'm ready to go. Well, if you go to work, the dog trashes your house. He's got to have something to do. So daycare can be wonderful if they are concentrating on the socialization exercises and teaching the dog how to thoroughly enjoy spending time calmly on its own. And this is it's a horrible thing to say. I would say the same thing about children. One of the most important things to teach a child is to enjoy spending time on his or her own, drawing, reading, or whatever. Because the fact of the matter is, with children, people, you are in this life on your own. Some of us may be very lucky at the moment that we have family, friends around us now. They could die tomorrow. It's just a fact. You are on your own to cope with this life thing, and that's what you need to learn first. Same thing with the puppy. The fact of the matter is, many puppies will be left on their own for a large amount of time. And it could be you going to hospital, could be you going on holiday, it could be you work, whatever it is. Not everybody, or very few people, have the luxury of spending 24/7 with their dog. And the kindest thing you can do for it is right from the outset, at 8 weeks of age, say, right, you little sucker, have you heard of long-term confinement, short-term confinement? Because this is it for the first 4 weeks of your life. By the time the puppy is 3 months old, now his long-term confinement is not the bathroom, it's the bathroom and the kitchen. And then at 5 months, he gets the bathroom, the kitchen, and the hallway. That's cool, because now he can get to the front door and the back door. Then he gets bathroom, kitchen, hallway, and the backyard. And he gets a day a month until he's about 10 months to a year old. And now you go to work, you say, see you later, buddy. He says, okay. And he wanders upstairs to the TV room, to the leather couch. At 11 p.m., he moves to this window in the living room where the sun's coming through. Then he moves down in case UPS or FedEx come, because they're on a time clock, and he's dying to bark at them. And the dog, for the rest of his life, has full run of house and garden. Most people do the opposite. Puppy comes in the house at 8 weeks, has full run of the house. 4 months, 5 months of age, they notice he's chewing, peeing, pooping, the house is wrecked, they limit him to the yard. Then the neighbors complain why he's barking, or he's escaping and getting picked up by animal control. So from the yard, he goes to the basement. He doesn't want to go in the basement, so he plays catch me if you can, or he nips the kid trying to put him there. Then he goes to the Humane Society with a little behavioral baggage, not house-trained, not chew toy trained, difficult to catch, nips a lot, barks a lot. Within 2 days in the Humane Society, what little house training he had is totally gone, unless they have a house training program. Chew toy training, totally gone, unless they have a chew toy training program. He becomes a barking, excited, stressed maniac. Why? All the dogs are doing it. His behavioral baggage becomes magnified, and we're trying to adopt this animal out. That's not a great thing to adopt out. It really isn't. We're not helping. So we just reverse this process and say, no, we want rules and confinement up front. Then we give freedom as it comes. The socialization is a different issue. Way at the top, I actually have in my notes upstairs, I no need to bring it down because it's in here, because I read it in the plane. In 1992, in the lists of 20, remember I mentioned list of 20 for my trainers? Well, at the puppy training workshop, everybody, 70 people, we only allowed 70 people in the workshop, would vote on what are the most important things for pet owners to learn. 1992, socializing with other dogs came number 6. The next year, it came number 22. And the difference was, in the workshop, I said, socializing your dogs to other dogs isn't really important for most people. And if it is important, they're going to do it anyway, by taking their dog to the park to meet different breeds, different ages, and what have you. It will be done. So it's not something you actually need focus on as a trainer. Okay? And so now the damage you're doing in the puppy class actually isn't that damage at all for people who are going to walk their dogs. It will totally ruin the dogs that are not going to be walked, but they're not going to be walked, so who cares? Okay, the owner, you won't ruin the relationship there. As opposed to what was number 1 and number 2. Every year I give this workshop, I tell them, when they start the workshop, I say, look, I'm going to give you number 1 and number 2, and you better vote for it, or else we just spend the time discussing it. Number 1, what's the most important thing to teach any animal? Bite inhibition. Second most important thing to teach any animal, socialize to people. Yeah. And that's what puppy class is about. So if you can do that properly, and so the way you would do it is every week you tell every person there, could you bring a friend next week? Well, now instead of 12 puppies, 12 owners, you know, how many people have you got? Each puppy is going to be exposed to 72 people right there in 6 weeks, because each person has to bring a different person each week. I remember way back when I was teaching classes, and I like to work out. Berkeley's a funny place, as you know, and they have like funny families there, you know. And like one little boy came with 3 guys. It took me forever to work that out, that they were his 3 dads. I mean, this is Berkeley. It's pretty weird. And one of the guys was gay. That was the real dad, you know. And then there's this woman, and every week she comes with a different person, a different man. And I eventually, week 6, when I go around, I like to guess what people do for a living, which is hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious. You know, it's like, you're an accountant, right? No, I'm a plumber. I mean, I would be so off in terms of guessing what they did for a living. But I was pretty good with the family stuff. And I was going around and saying, well, you're so-and-so, right? And we'd have a laugh over it. And I said to this guy, I have no idea who these guys are. And she looks at this guy next to her and says, I haven't got a clue either. I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, you said bring people, so when I'm walking to puppy class, I just go up to the nearest guy and say, would you like to help me train my puppy? And she said, actually, I've met some pretty neat guys. And so socialization to people is really the most important thing, all right? Okay, so puppy classes, I want to close this up and move on to fighting. You want the activity for the biting. So they bite a lot in class, they learn bite inhibition, and they go home biting more, so they're going to learn bite inhibition from the people who now know it's important because you give them your instructions written down. If you want to do this fairly classily or cheaply, you buy my After You Get Your Puppy book. I will give anyone here who orders 50% off. And so that means, what is it? What does it cost, that book? $12.95. So it's costing you $6.50 a copy. You increase the price of your class by $10. There you go. You're going to make $3.50 more on every puppy you train, but they get a free book. Wow. When they get a free book, all of a sudden they think, this is really professional. You will find actually the worst thing about this is mailing the books out is the biggest cost. It costs you about $2.40 to mail each book out. So you'd want to factor that in, so increase the price of classes by $15. All right? And now all of the information is delivered, and you can say, all right, tonight you all read these pages. We test you on it next week. There's a bonus bone for the one who gets the most right answers. It's just like in England, they have these things in the pubs now, general knowledge nights. They love it, people. We didn't love it when we were at school, did we? So how come we love it now? It's in a pub, because you get stupid prizes. Well, and you can drink beer when you're doing it, I guess. That's it. So, but we'll talk more about that again, about promotion. But they need that information. They must know about bite inhibition. It is so misunderstood, and of all the things that I've written, I think it's best described in After You Get Your Puppy. It really lays it out, how unbelievably important it is. And that's it, you know. As long as you've got bite inhibition in the dog, you can do everything else later. The dog's not house trained. Let's house train him. Easy. What you cannot do, though, with a dog is put bite inhibition in him as an adult vis-a-vis other dogs and animals. You can't do it. You can work with a dog if he's biting people. But not many trainers can do that. Why? Because dogs usually bite men or children. Well, if the dog's biting men, I can help you out. Because I can pad myself up, and now I can teach him bite inhibition. You know, got some nice Kevlar gloves on and spoons taped here so he can't bite hard, and I hand feed it. Ow, little worm. And that's better, good boy. I can now teach him bite inhibition that his teeth hurt me. Then he can maybe generalize to other men. But if he's biting children, you probably can't do much. If he's biting cats and dogs, I can't send another dog, can't send Claude in there and say, teach this dog bite inhibition. Of course, he'll rip you from limb to limb. It's inhumane. And so bite inhibition is everything because it allows you a good prognosis on the animal to work with it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. All right? Play sessions off leash all the time. Don't talk in puppy class. If it's important, write it down and give it to them. You understand that? Don't talk in puppy class. If it's important, write it down and give it to them. If you talk to them, they won't get it. They won't get it. Here's how it goes. I'm doing my bite inhibition spiel. This basset is snoring. I mean, you can't compete with a snoring basset. You're now delivering the most important bit of information about the bite inhibition. You've got to inhibit the force before the frequency. The basset stands up, then trips over its ear and falls on its chin. No one got that. You know, only about 7% of information you give out is going to be retained. You write it down and you question them on it next week. You never talk to people. You say to them, what's the most important thing your dog has to learn?
Bite inhibition.
Bite inhibition. Well done. You get a prize. It seems that people think I've not been good enough, not been rewarding enough, so someone's put a bag of chockies here. So well done.
Oh, thank you.
And this will be different. She had a Yorkie. Now, this lady has a Labrador, let's say. What's the second most important thing to teach your dog? Socialization to people. Well done. Okay, good. You've got to get them to talk to you. That's the only way you know that they know it. And when you watch them do it, now you really know they know it, because they're doing it in front of you. So don't talk in puppy class. If it's important, write it down. That's what books are for. And there's some very good books out there. So pick the ones that you like the best. And here's another money-earning campaign. Buy these books. You can get them from Baker & Taylor at 40% off. Then sell them. You know, or add them into your puppy package and increase by the same amount. You never give services away for free, but you can give a free book. You just charge more for your services now, so the book's doesn't cost you money. And people love that notion of a free book. And you can make a lot of money. Puppy trainer, I know, she orders about $500 worth of books every month. That means each year she is netting $6,000 on book sales alone in her puppy classes. It's not chump change. $6,000, I could do with that. Okay, and she's training in a tiny area. It's in Hawaii. It's a tiny area, a small population where she's holding the classes. Not like someone who comes from Detroit or middle of Illinois, say, where, you know, God, dog people are everywhere. So that's your puppy class stuff. All right, we'll stop now for a while. Let's move on to growl classes. Growl classes, did I eject that thing? I can't remember. Did it come out? Yeah, it came out. Yes, I've got it, good. Your growl class is really good. First thing you've got to do when the specter of aggression raises its ugly head is work out how serious is this problem. You have to be able to quantify the seriousness. With fighting, we quickly work out the fight-bite ratio. And it's very important with fighting because people get... Can we have lights for a while? Just while I'm not going to show the video just yet. Step over this way? Yeah? You don't like the blue light? I kind of like blue. Yeah? It's kind of cool. Don't I look good on video? Do I look blue? Who wants to see blue steel? There we go. Sorry. Very important with fighting because people get so emotional. So emotional. More so than when dogs bite people. In many situations I've seen a dog bite someone and the person who's bitten actually apologizes. Oh, it was my fault, I'm sorry. When dogs get into a fight, you know, a civil war is about to start. And heaven forbid one of the dogs is a German Shepherd, or a Pit Bull, or a Rottweiler, or an Akita, or a Chow. I mean, these dogs can't even hiccup in public without everyone blaming them, and the social stigma is amazing. You know, on the other hand, if you have a little Shih Tzu or something, you can probably get away with it. But still, people do not like fighting. And they will always say, the dog is fighting all the time and he's trying to kill the other dog. That's always the way it comes across to you. Fighting all the time, trying to kill the other dog. Well, we're going to ask questions to ascertain exactly how much is he fighting, i.e., how many fights has he had. Then we're going to ascertain how serious are they. How many trips... You had a question? Why?
You use your hands.
You can hear me, right? Anyway, I thought of this idea for the Bahamas, right? That how many people swam in the pool? But well done. Bahamas, if you've ever been to a lecture where you have simultaneous translation, and so someone's talking in Japanese, and you put on headphones, and you can turn it to English, Spanish, German, what have you, and people are translating. I thought, in Bahamas, we hold it in a hotel, I'm in a little room, a bar, giving the lecture, okay, and everyone, registration will be $100 a day if you want to be there in the bar with me. If you don't want to be there, it'll be $300 a day, and you get these headphones, and you're lying in the pool, listening to the lecture. Is that cool or what? I'm going to look into that to see if that's doable. That's great. You could be out, you could be on a catamaran, you know, listening to the lecture, and it's all tax deductible. That's the neat thing. Anyway,